Former President Donald Trump met today with Israel's prime minister at Mar-a-Lago. Here are some pictures from their meeting. Prime Minister Netanyahu and Trump took questions from reporters in the room. Here's the former president's response to a question about Vice President Kamala Harris's remarks on the war in Gaza yesterday.
I think her remarks were disrespectful. They weren't very nice pertaining to Israel. I actually don't know how a person who's Jewish can vote for her, but that's up to them. But she was certainly disrespectful to Israel, in my opinion.
CBS News campaign reporter Katrina Kaufman has more from Palm Beach, Florida. So, Katrina, how are Trump and Netanyahu framing this visit?
So, Lindsay, I was in the room for that brief press gaggle that they had, and both men seemed to be in very good spirits and frame their relationship as a positive one. Trump denied that there were ever bad relations between the two. He said that the relationship has always been good. And then in sort of a cute moment, he said that the secret to his relationship with Israel was Sarah, and hugged the woman next to him who was Netanyahu's wife. But they presented a front of solidarity, and Trump iterated that he feels he was the U.S. president who has been the best to Israel, and that will continue.
Yeah, well, can you dive a little bit deeper into that? I mean, Trump said if he's not elected, quote, we're all going to end up with major wars in the Middle East. How could U.S.-Israel relations be affected if he were to win in November?
Trump has been saying that he thinks that Israel's war with Hamas needs to end quickly. He hasn't been specific about what that would be, but there is some indication that he would be supportive of a stronger approach from Israel. During his first presidency, he was very pro-Israeli in his stances and supportive of Netanyahu's wishes. Even today, he recalls how he moved the U.S. embassy to Jerusalem, pulled out of the Iran deal, and helped to broker the Abraham Accords. So under Trump, I think that we will see a continuation of those policies and of that support.
How typical or atypical is a meeting like this at Mar-a-Lago with another world leader coming to Florida to meet with a candidate?
This is not a typical event. Trump has been having some meetings and talks with world leaders during his candidacy. He recently spoke with Zelensky on the phone. He met with Duda. But perhaps this is because Trump is a former president running for re-election. But clearly these world leaders see that he is doing well in the polls, and they want to reestablish ties with him early and have these policy talks in the lead up to the election.
Trump is hitting the campaign trail this weekend. What's on the agenda?
Tonight, Trump will be speaking at the Believers Summit. This is a conservative Christian religious gathering. Tomorrow, he's heading to Nashville, where he's going to be the keynote speaker at the Bitcoin convention. And then that evening, he will be holding a joint rally with J.D. Vance in Minnesota.
Katrina Kaufman, thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay.